Okay, in this section, we are looking on how to do taking off for foundation. So the types of foundation in this context of study will cover on only pad footing inclusive stump. So for lesson outcomes, make sure at the end of the session you are able to prepare the taking off sheet. Okay, the purpose of preparing the taking off sheet is to calculate the quantities of the concrete, the formwork, and also the reinforcement bar. Right, so for reinforcement bar, it includes the main bar and also the link. So you need to remember the unit of measurement for concrete work, for formwork, and also for reinforcement bar. Okay, after you prepare the taking off, you know the quantities. See, these quantities of materials will be transferred to the bill of quantity. So the second lesson outcome is make sure you are able to prepare the bill of quantity for these three types of materials. So the unit for concrete work is cubic meter, the formwork we claim in meter square or square meter, and for reinforcement bar we claim in unit kilogram. Okay, so make sure you are able to convert the unit from meter to kilogram for the reinforcement bar. Like I mentioned previously, the types of foundation that will be covered in this context of study is pad footing inclusive the stump. So in order for you to prepare the taking off sheet, okay, and do the taking off, you need to know how the pad footing is look like. Okay, the dimension, to know the dimension. Okay, same goes to the stump. Which one is the stump? Okay, so you need to know the height of the stump in order for you to calculate the area for the formwork and also the volume for the concrete work for both pad footing and also the stump, which part of the foundation. As you can see in this slide, it shows the overview of construction of pad footing at the site. So basically, this is the reinforcement for the pad footing. This is the reinforcement of the stump. Okay, so this is the concrete work for the pad footing. And this part, okay, is the stump. So this is the lapping. So the lapping or starter bar, okay, from this stump will connect to the reinforcement of the column for the ground floor of the building. Right? So basically, you need to do the excavation works. Okay, prepare the trench, okay, trench, in order to make a place or prepare a place for the pad footing, because we know pad footing is substructure. This substructure means that it's located underneath the ground level, right? So now we are moving to look into the method statement of constructing the pad footing. Alright. This is the general method statement of casting a reinforcement concrete pad footing. So the first one is the excavation work. Okay, the excavation work. So we need to prepare a place to install the pad footing. Okay, so the basis that we need to know is the ground level, because the excavation will start from the ground level. So next, prepare a layer of lean concrete. So what are the differences between lean concrete and concrete that used for casting this pad footing? So that is a different, the mixture and also the price is different. So we need to lay this lean concrete in order to prepare a clean and firm base for the footing, right? The lean concrete. So next one, prepare the formwork. So the formwork. So there are four-sided of plank or timber need to be prepared and erect, okay, to form the formwork. Okay. Next, erecting the reinforcement. Okay, as you can see, this is how the reinforcements look like. It has two direction, X and Y direction. It has the bend. Okay, so and it arranged, as you can see, the arrangement of the reinforcement is like you can see in the picture. Next, installation of the reinforcement for the stump. So as you can see, the stump, the reinforcement of the stump is erect or installed on the reinforcement of the pad footing. So at this part, which is the connection between the reinforcement of the stump and the reinforcement of the pad footing, is very crucial. So in order for you to get clear picture, I will explain later during the examples. So next is concreting. Okay, you need to pour the concrete in the formwork. Okay, this is the last view of the final product when the concrete getting cured and you dismantle the formwork. Alright, in order to enhance your understanding on how to do taking off for pad footing, so we will look into this example, right? So I hope you can read by your own and retrieve the information or the detailings that have been stated in this question. Alright, basically this question asks you to prepare the taking off for the materials, formwork, concrete, and also reinforcement. So like I mentioned, when stated reinforcement, we will do taking off for both main bar and also the link. Alright, so why we do the taking off? Because we want to know the quantities. Why we want to know the quantities? Because we want to prepare the bill of quantity. Why we need to have the bill of quantity? Because we want to know the cost of the work. Right? So given the concrete cover for pad footing and stuff is 30 mm, so this is the detailing. Okay, given the sawn timber to use as formwork, in this case is 25 mm thick. So basically 25 mm thick is the detailing. Okay, 25 mm thick will not be considered in the calculation of the taking off. Right, next, concrete grade 25 is used for both structure, okay, pad footing and also the stump. Right, so this is the illustration or the drawing of the stump and also the pad footing. Right, so we put the ground level. The ground level is on the here. okay, on top of the ground beam. So basically this is your stump. Okay, you need to know which one is your stump. So the stump is, in order for you to address the structure of stump, it is located under ground beam and top of the pad footing. So if I ask you what is the height of the stump, okay, so the height of the stump is, okay, 1.8 minus thickness of the ground beam, okay, minus thickness of the pad footing, alright, which is h. So what is the value of h? Okay, what is the value of h? Okay, the value of h. Okay, so the value of h you can get from this table h. So it is 450 mm, right? So if I ask you what is the dimension of the pad footing, okay, so the pad footing is this part, okay, this is your pad footing, okay, this is your pad footing. So the dimension given L1, L2. So this is your dimension. So if I can illustrate the dimension, okay, L1, L2. Okay, so the length of this is 1.5 meter, and the length of L1 is same 1.5 meter. Okay, so the height of the pad footing is h. So h is 0.45 meter. So if you want to do the taking off for the concrete work for pad footing, you will know. Okay, because we know concrete work claim in unit cubic meter, the three dimension, okay, length, width, and also the thickness, you already know. Okay, so you can know the volume of concrete for the pad footing. Alright, what else? The detailing for the reinforcement of the pad footing given. Okay, 8T20 both direction. Okay, so both direction. So in this direction, okay, and also the other direction. Okay, sorry, my drawing is not to scale. I just want to give you the idea. Okay, so 8 numbers of steel, T is the types of steel, 20 is the diameter of the steel. Okay, so the ties. So the detailing of the ties is this, given here T20. Alright. So what else? Okay, reinforcement for the stump, given the main bar is 4016, and the detailing for the link of the stump is R850. Okay, so this is the lapping. Okay, given the lapping is 40 diameter. So diameter is referred to the diameter of the main bar, which is 16. The diameter of the main bar for this the structure. Okay, in this case, the structure is stump. So the diameter of the main bar of the stump is 16. So the diameter used for the lapping here 40 times diameter. Okay. So this lapping will be the starter bar in order to connect with the reinforcement of the column. Alright. So this one is the size of your beam, the ground beam. Okay, 125 times 450, and this is the size of the stump. Okay, the size of the stump. Okay, the stump is 125 times 450. Alright, so make sure if you get a drawing, please study the drawing. Understand the dimension given before you proceed with the taking off. Alright? Okay, for this part, you can refer to the video in order to get more explanation on how to do taking off or the structure of this question. Alright. Okay, after complete the taking off, okay, and preparing the taking off sheet, okay, all the quantity need to be transferred to this template, okay, which is known as bin of quantity, okay, or BQ. We need to prepare the BQ because we want to know the total cost of the work. Okay, this is the main idea. How much the cost. So you need to remember the basic key column. Okay, this is the basic template that I mentioned just now. The item number, the description of work, the quantity. Okay, this is the quantity that you transfer from the taking off sheet. Okay, according to the work. Okay, the work description. Okay, the unit. Okay, so make sure the unit is correct. The rate or price per unit. Okay, and also the price. Okay, so start with the excavation. Okay, the topsoil, the excavation of topsoil, unit square meter. Okay, the excavation of trench depth, which not exceed 1.5 meter. Okay, the unit is cubic meter. If let's say in the taking off, it involves the depth of trench exceed 1.5 but not exceed 3.3 meter. Okay, you need to include. So like I mentioned just now, all the unit is being transferred, okay, from the taking off sheet. So you can refer and you can transfer the number, the figure, the quantity to this PQ template. Alright, for concrete, you need to write the specification. Concrete grade 25. If let's say in the taking off, okay, it involves few types of concrete. For example, grade 25, grade 30, okay, you need to write according to the types because different grade or different types of concrete, different price, okay. So, but the unit for the concrete is still the same, which is cubic meter. So the lean concrete, okay. So next for the reinforcement, the things that you need to remember is first, you need to arrange the size of the reinforcement in descending order. I need to say from the largest diameter to the smallest diameter. Okay, okay, that is the first. The second one, you need to show the conversion. Okay, unit conversion from meter to kilogram. So you need to remember that when you do taking off for reinforcement in the taking off sheet, you claim in unit meter. But once you transfer the quantity of the reinforcement, regardless min bar or the stirrup or the length, you need to convert to unit kilogram. So that's why you need to show the conversion, because here it has marks, right? Okay, then unit kilogram, right? Okay, so for formwork, okay, like I mentioned, the types of timber used for that particular work is 25 thick. So this is only referring to the detailing. There is no consideration of 25 in the calculation. Alright, so please take note. And the unit is square meter. After all, you get the quantity, and next you will refer what is the price per unit for each types of materials, and you will write in this column. Next, for price, you will get from the multiplication of column quantity multiply with column weight, so you will get this price for each type of materials, and at the end of the day you will total up all the price to get a total amount or the total bill. Okay, alright, so if you have any question related to the bill quantity, you can ask me later. So for example number 2, I need you to try by your own. Okay, please read and understand and try to retrieve the information, the detailing given for this particular example before you proceed with the taking of sheet. So this is the illustration or the drawing of the pad footing. So we know that there are two types of pad footing. The first size is 1.5 times 1.5 times 0.4, and the other types is 2 meter times 2 meter times 0.4. Okay, so you need to know the numbers of the pad footing which with the size of 1.5, 1.5, 0.4, and the numbers of pad footing with the size of 2 meter times 2 meter times 0.4 meters. Okay, so what else? Okay, please go through by your own first. So this is the elevation view of the drawing. So given the existing ground level, in order for you to make it as a basis to do the taking off for the excavation works. Okay, given here is the hardcore, so meaning to say that you need to do the excavation until the datum. Okay, the lowest point, which is under the including the thickness of the hardcore. Okay, so given the detailing for the reinforcement for the pad footing is 5y16, meaning to say that the numbers of the reinforcement is given, so you do not need to calculate the numbers of steel, right? So given the detailing of the stump, reinforcement for the stump, you can see we know the size of the stump. The stump is 200 times 200. The detailing of the main bar is 4y12. Okay, the detailing for the link is R6 250. So what else? It shows that the length of the link in the stump, okay, is from here to this point. So you need to be able to identify the length required link, right? Okay, basically this is the explanation on the taking off for the stump and also pad footing, okay, from of the previous drawing. So please try to do by your own and please check with this example. So for form work, you need to know the depth of the or the height of the pad footing, right? So how many plank of timber, is it the same size for four-sided? Is it different size? Okay, so you need to identify. So this is the taking off for the reinforcement for the footing. So yes, you need to start with calculating of length of one steel. Next, once you get the length of one steel, in this case, the numbers of steel is given, which is 5. Okay, and both way is same. So then you can proceed to calculate the total length of steel. Alright, same goes to the stump. You need to calculate the length of one steel before you calculate the total length of the steel. Right, so for reinforcement for stump, the critical part is to identify the height of the steel, okay, including the lapping. Okay, and you need to remember that the steel of stump will be installed or erect and attached with the steel of pad footing. So meaning to say that the length will include part of the length of the pad footing. So for the link, you need to calculate length of one link. So you need to consider the hook. There are two hooks. Okay. So the types. In order for you to know the hook, you need to know the types of the steel. So refer to the table. If let's say the types of steel is R. So what is the constant of the hook for other types of steel? Okay. So then you need to calculate the total length of link. In order for you to calculate the total length of link, you need to know the numbers of link. Okay. So how you need to how you can calculate the numbers of the link? Okay. By knowing the distance of or the length required link divided by the we call it the spacing plus 1. So that is the formula. So we can use the formula in order to know the numbers of link before you calculate or before you can know the total length of the link. So I think you can go through this slide by your own. Okay, if let's say you have question, you can ask me later. So the same procedure in order for you to calculate the length, right? And after you have done your taking off, you need to prepare the bill of quantity. So again, the procedure or the process of preparing the bill of quantity is the same. Please remember the template, the name of each column, what you need to write at each column, and so forth. Okay, if you have any question, you can ask me, right? So I think that's all for this session. Thank you. Okay, I want to continue a little on the excavation work. Alright, as you can see, these pictures shows the soil strata profile. Okay, so the idea is every depth of the soil consists different materials, and different materials might require different method of excavation. For example, the rock and also the hard materials. In order for you to excavate these types of materials would not be the same if you want to excavate topsoil and these types of soil, because this kind of soil is more hard and difficult to excavate. So the method or the equipment is different, thus it might affect the cost of the project. So for excavation work, there are three stages. Okay, this is reflect with the installation of the bed footing, inclusive the stump, right? So the first stage is removing the topsoil. So removing the topsoil. This is the standard thickness, 150 mm. So you need to remember the standard thickness of topsoil is 150 mm, and for topsoil, we claim unit of measurement is square meter, right? So we need to say that we only calculate the area, And the second part, or the second stage, you need to calculate if the depth of the excavation work is more than less than 1.5 meter. Okay, 1.5 meter. Okay, so if let's say the excavation until the bottom datum of your flat footing is maximum 1.5 or less than 1.5, okay, you only stop till stage number 2. Okay, so this part we claim in cubic meter, which is volume. So that's why you need to know the depth of your excavation. Okay, the depth from the ground level. Okay, from the ground level. So you need to know where is your ground level. For example, if the ground level is on top of the ground beam, so your excavation might start at this point until the bottom. Okay, including if let's say they have the hardcore or lean concrete, you need to include and excavate till the last datum. Okay, if let's say your depth, okay, your depth is more than 1.5 but less 3 meter, okay, you will proceed with stage 3. Okay, stage 3. Okay. So stage 3 also the soil or the excavation work we claim in unit cubic meter. Okay. So we will discuss in detail to enhance your understanding when we do the example. Right? So thank you.